Hello, this is meteorologist Basil Numerjitsky with a Great Basin Fire Potential Outlook, looking for May through August 2018. We start off looking at the past winter-spring precipitation patterns, and we've noticed that much drier than normal conditions developed across a good portion of the southern and central areas. The areas in red and dark red indicate about 25 to 50% of average precipitation for what normally falls throughout the year. It's not until we get up into the mountains of central Idaho and into western Wyoming that we even come close to normal, to in some cases slightly above normal precipitation for the winter months. You can tell where the moisture has been and where it has not been. Now it's an interesting comparison to the previous winter, where we did have the winter of 2016-2017 near record levels of precipitation. Areas in the purple here, 150 to 250% of normal precipitation. Reason we show this is in some of these areas across northern Nevada, far southern Idaho, and parts of northwest Utah, there continues to be a very healthy existence still of some of that brush and lighter fuels that developed under that wetness last year that has not burned yet. Conversely, further south, we don't expect to see a big bed of fine fuels across our southern areas. However, for the heavier fuels and the timber, these significantly drier than normal conditions will play a significant role in getting fire season started much quicker across the higher terrain, the timbered areas of our southern region. And we can see on the latest drought monitor how the drought has ensued. We've been basically absent of any drought for the past 2 or 3 years, but now it's definitely appeared very quickly. Areas in red are extreme drought conditions, even exceptional drought as you head into far southeastern areas of Utah. And again, any of these areas in the timbered areas, especially northern eastern aspects that hold timber and juniper, conditions there are very dry, and we could see an earlier start to some significant burning in our timbered areas, all going all the way down towards the Cedar City area and up into the Wasatch. So it's another thing that we are looking at. In terms of what the drought is expected to do, it is expected to, no relief really for this season, expected to push further northwards and increase in intensity as it heads up further through Utah and towards the Idaho border. Another piece of the puzzle that we look at for the higher terrain is the existing snowpack. In those areas that were drier than normal, you can see this is towards the end of March, early April, that most areas in the higher terrain were sitting at a little bit more than half of their normal snowpack. That's significant because the quicker the snow melts, the quicker the fuels become exposed and the quicker they can dry out and then become, unfortunately, receptive to lightning and fire starts. As you go further north, snowpack does come closer to normal, going up into Wyoming about 20% above normal, and near normal snowpack to slightly below across the mountains of central Idaho. Going further here, looking at temperatures and precipitation as we go through, looking at April here, we did have, again, another drier than normal month across our southern areas and basically all the way up into Idaho. Only real wet spot was up here into the Tetons of Wyoming. Temperatures were above normal in most areas. Looking at some of our fuels, finer fuels, 10-hour fuels already down at critical levels. We've had some fires, a few dozen acres to even near 100 acres in some spots. So the further you go towards the Arizona border, obviously it's already towards early summer conditions. Even the 100-hour fuels have dried significantly. These pink areas already are below 5%. These are values we don't normally see over a large scale until we get into the end of May or early June. So this is definitely ahead of normal. Even these areas in orange here, 6 to 10%, these could go down to below 5% with just one warm, dry week. Much more moisture as you head up into Wyoming. Starting to dry out a little bit across Idaho as well. Now the 1,000-hour fuels, again, these don't have to be critically dry. They just, being this orange here, 6 to 10%, can sustain large fires if everything else is dry in some of the timbered areas. So we already have those concerns across the southern half of Utah and possibly up into the Mount Charleston area, some of the higher terrain down in southern Nevada. Further north into the northern Wasatch, into the Tetons, still the heavy fuels are doing pretty good there right now. So we've looked at drought, past weather, fuel, snowpack. We look now to what we do expect weather-wise and climate-wise over the next few weeks and the next few months. Well, now taking a look at the El Nino current conditions and projections. Currently right now, you see this blue dot is we're coming out of a weak La Nina phase. These are the cooler than normal anomalies. These are the warmer than normal El Nino anomalies. The lighter to darker shades indicate the weak, moderate, or strong El Nino or La Nina. As we go from currently into the midsummer months, into May, June, July, August, September, you can see that most of these model clusters are pushing up into the weak to even moderate El Nino phase as we go into the late summer and fall months. I don't think this will have a significant impact immediately on weather conditions, although the transition and push towards El Nino does tend to bring a bit more warmth and dryness to the northern portion of the Great Basin, also into the northern Rockies and parts of the Pacific Northwest. So we'll see how that all plays out. Looking at the 1 month outlook for this coming May, we do have a drier than normal signal up across the mountains of central Idaho, especially the western mountains. A wetter than normal signal from Wyoming into parts of Utah. So at least for the next few weeks, we could see things level off a little bit. However, temperature-wise, we will continue to be much warmer than normal. No cold intrusion, so it should be a very rapid green up, which is already occurring, and then a very rapid curing out of finer fuels and all fuels when on days that it's not raining. Now the 3 month outlook that takes us from June through August, again we have a signal for below normal precipitation. This is kind of a normal or a signal that you typically get sometimes within El Nino. So we are concerned that the snowpack across parts of Idaho is going to dwindle very quickly and even into the rubies of northern Nevada. No real wetness. The monsoonal push that we could see could actually be a little earlier than normal, but also a little bit further east. If this is the case, then portions of southern Utah, the Arizona Strip, even parts of southern Nevada could see prolonged dryness as we go into even July. So that's something to keep an eye on. So we put all the pieces together and we come out with our outlook for May. 2 areas of concern. Here on the lower right-hand side, this is for the higher terrain above about 7,500 feet, where timbered areas can burn because of the drought conditions. And this is unusual for us to have above normal in May, but here it is. And then over here in northwestern Nevada, due to the leftover finer fuels from last season still there, areas that have not burned could quickly dry out and become receptive to the wind events that we still typically have in the late spring season. Now, as we go into June, we see all those areas expand across northern Nevada and into parts of southern Idaho. Again, where areas are drying out very rapidly and leftover fine fuels from record precipitation of 2 winters ago still lingers. And this kind of joins up together with the expanding fire threat across the higher terrain of southern central Utah due to the drought. And basically, we have concerns for a good portion of the state of Utah at this point. As we go into July, we have concerns now. We expect at some point towards the latter part of July, we should see monsoonal effects diminish the southern fire threat across Utah, but we continue with this expanse of northern Nevada, northern Utah, and into a good portion of Idaho due to the expected warmth and dryness through those areas. And that could even push into larger portions of the mountains of central Idaho as we head towards August as well.